Honestly speaking, I have never actually been very interested in Duet Night Abyss. The main reason why is that when I saw the first trailer, it didn't really captivate my interest. And even with the second trailer, it still didn't manage to catch my interest. But I decided to give the game a chance because one of my friends kept on saying that the story of the game is very good, and I like a game with a good story. So with that being said, I decided to do some research into the game to see whether there's anything I can make a video on, and I found out that there's almost no useful videos out there, which is honestly a little concerning. So I decided to just do it by myself. So for this video, let's talk about a few things that you need to know to get into Duet Night Abyss. This can be a good video if you need to refresh your memory about Duet Night Abyss, or if you're new to Duet Night Abyss, this will be a good enough video for you to help you understand what is happening in the game. So with that said, let's get into the video. Hey, what is up guys, it's Mordant. Now if you're interested in news videos, challenge videos, discussion videos, and lore videos for any of the games that you can see on screen right now, then please consider subscribing to the channel. The goal for the year is 5,000 subscribers, and every single subscription counts. With that said, let's get back to the combat. Now, where I think I should start from is the absolute basics of combat in the game. So we'll start off with health and shields. So in Duet Night Abyss, you will see these two bars over here. One represents your HP and the other represents your shield. The shield in this game works very similarly to other games that you've seen a shield in. Whenever you take damage, your shield gets depleted, and when your shield is completely depleted, your HP will then start to decrease. Another thing that you're going to see that is very essential in this game is a resource called Sanity. Now, I'm not going to actually explain what Sanity is right now. Just think about Sanity as the thing that powers all of your skills and your ultimates in the game. That's the simplest way to think about it. When you actually get the game to play, then you can actually go into what exactly is Sanity and how does it work. So from here, let's now talk about the weapons that characters use. So every single character in the game is going to be using two weapons, one ranged weapon and one close range weapon. The ranged weapon is most times always going to be a gun, and the close range weapon most times will be a melee weapon like a sword or something else. And in combat, you have the freedom to switch between these two weapons at any time, so you don't actually have to worry about it. So in the middle of a fight, you can start to shoot enemies, and while your gun is reloading, you can switch over to your sword and deal damage with your sword. This game also has a dodging system. Now, essentially the way I see it, it's just a short dash that you can do that probably has invincibility frames in it, but you can do this only 2 times and then you need to wait for it to reset. It's very similar to what NTE had in its first beta. Also, still talking about the basics, we also have this thing called a stance system, which for Honkai Star Rail players, you will know this as the break system. So essentially, when you deal enough damage to an enemy, you will then be able to break their stance, and then the enemy will show you their weak spot. You can then attack that weak spot in order to be able to deal a large amount of damage to the enemy. Now, before I move on to skills and ultimates, there's one other kind of shield that we have in the game called an ultra shield, which honestly is very simple. It's just a shield on top of your original shield. So essentially, your ultra shield gets depleted before your main shield starts to get depleted, before your HP starts to get depleted. Hopefully no one is actually confused on that. So now when it comes to skills and ultimates in the game, from what I saw in all of the betas, the first beta, characters have 2 skills and 1 ultimate. Both your skills and your ultimates consume sanity, and from what I saw, skills do not have cooldowns in this game. So as long as you have sanity, you most likely can spam your skill over and over and over. Now, as for the ultimates, I'm not 100% sure. I think that those are on a cooldown. I need to actually check. I'm not very sure. I'll put it on screen if they actually aren't on a cooldown, but from what I saw, I actually think they are on a cooldown, but I will show you guys on screen if there's actually any changes to that. From here, let's talk about character progression. How can we level up our characters and make them stronger? There are a few options that are available to us. One of them is the character levels and the weapon levels. Another is the demon wedges in the game. So let's start by talking about the demon wedges. So since Duet Night Abyss is also an RPG game, it has a gearing system, and for Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves players, this would be the artifact and the ecosystem respectively for those two games. But Duet Night Abyss sort of adds a little bit of a twist to it. So in Wuthering Waves and Genshin Impact, you only need to focus on putting echoes and artifacts on the characters only. You don't put them on anything else. In Duet Night Abyss though, you can put your demon wedges on characters and weapons. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What the hell is a demon wedge? So a demon wedge is simply just an item that when put on a character or a weapon will grant it some more power. In the game's case, the power will come in form of different stats like crit rate, attack. There are some new stats in this game that you haven't seen in any other gacha game similar to this, and I will get to those eventually, but I want to make sure that everyone actually understands the demon wedge system perfectly. Every demon wedge has an amount of power that it exerts on whatever it is put on, and every character and weapon has a threshold for the amount of demonic power that they can hold at a time. This is known as tolerance, and this tolerance makes it so that you cannot just equip every single demon wedge that you see. If you put too many demon wedges on your character, the power becomes too much and it might hurt your characters, so the game will not actually allow you to go forward. So in Duet Night Abyss, there are 8 slots at the beginning of the game that can have demon wedges in them, and as your character level goes higher and higher, you unlock more slots. You can put a demon wedge in every single one of these slots, and as long as your tolerance has not been exceeded, you will gain new stats in the game. Now, because I didn't participate in the technical test for Duet Night Abyss, I don't actually know if there's any kind of adverse effect that happens if you exceed the amount of tolerance that your characters can have. One other thing to note, there are 2 types of demon wedges. There are character-specific demon wedges and there are weapon-specific demon wedges. Character-specific demon wedges cannot be put on weapons, and vice versa. A weapon-specific demon wedge cannot be put on a character. Now on screen, I'll put on the different stats that you can actually upgrade using the demon wedges in the game. If you have any questions about the demon wedge, please leave them down below, because I'm about to get to something that is a little bit more confusing, and credit to KATARINA for helping me out with this. Now, we've already established that the demon wedges in the game have a certain amount of power that they exert on the character. This is shown as tolerance in the game, but there is a way to reduce the amount of cost or the amount of power that a demon wedge exerts on a character or on a weapon. So there are specific symbols that you can see on screen right now. If you put a demon wedge into a slot that has the exact same icon, it will actually exert less power on the character, which means that you can then equip more demon wedges on the character. Now, currently, I'm not very sure of the rarity of wedges. I want to believe that there are 2-star all the way to 5-star rarities, so green, blue, purple, and yellow. I actually did not do proper research on that angle because I think it's something that will probably be changed by the next CBT, but I just decided to mention it while recording just in case it actually stays this time around. And one last thing before I move away from the wedges, one singular wedge can be used on multiple different characters, and one singular wedge can also be used on multiple weapons at the same time. So for people who are actually scared that farming in the game is going to be tedious, especially since you have teams of 3 characters, I don't really think that's the case, because you can actually equip your wedges on different characters. Now, I'm not sure of the amount of characters that you can actually put a specific wedge on. This is something that we'll have to find out in CBT2 if I manage to get access. I know I'm not going to get access, I'm just saying. Now, since Duet Night Abyss is actually an action RPG game, similar to other ones in the gacha space, different characters have different defining traits that make them stand out from other characters. For example, in Genshin Impact, you have the weapon types and the elements, and that's also the same thing for Wuthering Waves. In Duet Night Abyss, since every character has a close range and a long range weapon, there is only one way to actually differentiate characters, which is the elements that they apply. So there are 6 elements in the game. There's a wind element, there's a hydro element, there's a pyro element, there's the electro element, there is the lumino element, and there is also the umbro element. I do not know what the umbro element is. I want to think that's some sort of darkness element in the game, because most of these games always have a darkness element. but I am also welcome to be wrong. Now, I'm going to make a dedicated video on how the gacha of this game actually works, but that depends on how well this video does. If it actually does well, then I'll consider making a video about the gacha when the first CBT of the game actually starts. So if you want to see more coverage of the game from me, then please leave a like and also leave a comment telling me that you want to see more videos of this game. Now, the video is getting extremely very long at this point, so that means I might have to make a second part for this. So if you actually like everything that you've seen so far and you want to see some more Duet Night Abyss content, then please, like I said, leave a comment, like, share, let me know that you're actually interested in this, and I'll actually consider making more videos for this. But with that said, I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace, guys.